Hello. Oh, cool. My sound is broken. What is going on? Why does this happen? Hold on one second. Just trying to see if it's my headphones that were making the garbling noise or if it's actually on the live stream. All right, I think it's coming past. All right, so I was working on some stuff this morning. Let's see, where did I leave off? Oh, you know what? I think I just realized that this thing's just been recording for like hours of me doing nothing. Oops. All right, let's try this again. I had to remember to turn off the recording. So, this is where we left off. I was working on these different editor modes. And what I want to see is if now it's time for us to get this logic going for moving back and forth. So let's start with the tile picker, because this one is probably the easiest one to implement. The I believe I already have. I feel like I had a variable originally somewhere around here that handled the current tile, but script paint picker, script tile picker. All right, so what we're gonna do is, as we move left and right, we're gonna increment the picker value. So if we come here and we take a look at the tile map, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 tiles. The first is erase. And then each one of these does something different, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we should do is this. When this loads up here, we're going to set the value of the L current tile ID. Now, the problem is I don't want this to be local. I want this to actually be, I want this to be a global thing. So let's turn this into V current brush ID. And the reason I'm going to call it brush is because I don't want it to be current tile ID, because I'm actually going to use the tile ID later on. When I'm doing a lot of the math around saving stuff. So we'll just leave it as current brush ID. We're going to set the value to 1 because I want it to always start on the player, not on the eraser. This doesn't make any sense. All right, so now that we have that, now when we go into the script, we're looking for the tile picker. We're going to have a right and a left. Let's get rid of this stuff right now. We're just going to hide this. We don't need to deal with this. And we'll basically what's going to happen here is we're going to set this variable to equal the current brush ID. And we might have to mess around with this a little bit. It might actually have to be actually, you know what? We have actor selector. We may need to do a wait, can we do math here? +1. Hey, look at that. That saves us some time. We can go to the animation frame +1. Great. So let's delete. Wait, what's in this editor loop? What's in this loop? Just trying to remember what we did this morning. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of this, and we are gonna get rid of this. We don't need this. If right, if left. All right, so if it's right, what we're gonna do is we are going to add an event before. Well, actually, we're going to add the event in here. Because this increments the selector's X value. But what I actually want to do is I want to increment the current brush ID. And here, when we go left, I want to do the same thing, but for the current brush ID, we're just going to decrease it by 1. And then what should happen is that we should see. Let's just do this for 1 second here. What I'm looking to see is that we're actually getting the. Oh, this is not good. Background is no such directory in open tool versions. What did I do here? Does it not like this thing? Yeah, I don't think it likes that idea of... I don't think you can really add a number and set it to something. I think you have to increase the number and then set it. So this is a moot point. We need to come back here and we need to enable event. So what we need to do first is we are going to... let's do this. Let's insert an event before. We're going to set a variable. Set variable to value. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this variable to equal the... well, let's do some we'll do the math here. We're going to do... variable A, which is the current brush ID plus 1, and then here we're going to set this to a variable, and I guess there's no way of getting rid of this. Let me delete this, and then we will insert event after frame. Let's set actor animation frame. The actor is going to be actor A, and the frame is going to be variable A. So variable A is going to be the v temp tile frame ID. And we're just going to use this as a placeholder for, variable for whatever comes in. And then here, we're going to do p actor underscore selector. Oops. And here, we're just going to get a reference to the selector, and we're going to change the selector's animation frame based on the temp tile frame ID. The one thing we need to do, well, let's just test real quick if this works, and then we'll come back to this, because now what we need to do is we just need to make sure that we loop the number based on how you increment it, and then we're going to use it to actually set the position, because right now it's not going to move the cursor. It's just going to let us go through and select one of these tiles. So now what we're going to do is let's insert an event before, and we're going to do if variable compare with. We want to do comparison, and we want to see if the v current brush ID is greater than 5, we are going to set the variable to value. We're going to set this now back to 0. And in the else, let's just do it right here, and we'll just do an if. Well, actually, I don't want to do it there. I want to do it below. Let's insert an event above. Actually, I'm just going to copy this whole event. So copy event. Let's rename this event. Check. Check if ID is greater than tiles. And then we will stop that, and we will paste this event after. And what we're going to do is we're going to less than 0. Now, I have a theory. I think this is going to break here, because I think what's going to happen is I don't think we can actually set anything to a negative value. We are going to set this to 5. And in fact, what I actually want to do is I want to make this a variable, and we're going to call this. Oh, it won't let me rename it, but that's fine. So I have a feeling we have to put this in a different place. So what we're going to do here is we want to check to see if the variable for variable B, which will now be v underscore max tile IDs. Oh, you know what? That's annoying because we can't really, by reference, we really can't set this like that, and there's no init. I don't want to just like set this variable every time I call it, so you know, we'll just pass it in. So basically down here when we call the tile mode, it's looking for a maximum tile ID. We're going to give this a number, which is going to be 5. And the temp frame ID is just going to be L current tile ID. We'll just call this current brush ID. Is that what I want it to be? That's a little weird. Hold on, let's go back through and think this through. So the v temp tile frame, I don't need it by reference. I think I need this by value. What happens if we do something by value? Oh, I didn't realize I'm going to have to set this as a temporary. I didn't realize I might have to assign this to something. That's fine. What we'll just do here is we'll just make a local variable. Let me go figure out where to assign this to. Current brush ID, current brush ID. I'm looking back for what we were just doing, which is down here, right? So we'll set this to, I'm just going to do this local tile frame ID. And we have our max tile. So what I'm probably going to have to do in a minute is just move up the condition to see. What I need to do is before I decrease it, if it's 0, I need to add it. I need to make it, I need to loop it around before I decrease it because it'll never go to 0. All right, so this is now looping correctly. And interesting. Are these all the tiles? Let me see. There's... This should now be the skull. This, him, nothing. That's what it is. Okay. What we need to do is, okay, I knew there was some reason why I was doing this in the back of my head. What we're going to do is we're going to see if this is less than 1. And then we're going to loop it around, because the first frame of the selector is an empty selector, because we're going to use it in other places. So let's start this up. And then we'll get the moving working. All right, so that shouldn't, player, white. It needs to go, wait, something's wrong here. Let me go here and let's take a look at the vtemp frame tile. What is actually changing this value? Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. V current brush ID. Why are you V current brush ID? V current brush ID, set this to V max tile IDs, and V current brush ID. So what we're doing is we're seeing if the current brush ID is now greater than the maximum amount of tiles we can paint with, and we're going to set it actually to 1. And then what we're going to do is down here, if it's less than 1, we are going to set it back to the max tile. I have a feeling I have to increment the max tile by 1 just to account for the offset. So we have, what do we have here? This guy, I'm trying to find where the value is now. So we go to 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so if I goes back to 1, what's weird about this though is that, do I not have a, let me double check something here. Let's look at our sprites and let's look at our selector. Yeah, this is frame 0, this is frame 1, which is this eraser. Then this, and this. So I'm not entirely sure why that isn't going back to the eraser. But what I want to actually do first is let's get this thing to move again. So at the bottom, what we're going to do is we have our temp frame ID. We're changing the frames correctly. I think what we actually don't need to do is, I think we can just set this to the current brush frame. This might be what's causing the problem. Disable event. P actor selector, go to this frame. Because now I'm actually, I think I'm actually keeping I'm actually doing all the addition to the current brush ID, not the temp variable anymore. And before I was trying to offset it because there's no zero brush. There we go. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that goes back. All right, there we go. So that is easy. Now what we need to do is let's delete this, and then we're going to now create a new, let's create a new event after. We're going to set this variable. And let's pick the variable that we're going to set is going to be v underscore selector x. And I don't know if it'll let me do math here again, but what we're going to do is multiplication. And we're going to take the, first off, let's just see if this works, because I feel like sometimes it has some problems with setting values like this, but it seems to be going through fine. All right, so now let's set this to a value, or to a variable. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the current brush ID, and we're actually going to add this. And what I need is the offset of where this needs to be. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Wait, let me just figure this out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Above that line. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is really, that can't be right. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is going to be 8. That can't be right, but whatever. We'll just do it as 8 for right now. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm now setting the selector, the selector's X position equal to 8 is our offset, and then we're just going to add the brush value in order to shift it over to which tile it should be at. I've like done so many of these before that it's just sort of a I think this stuff should be coming naturally, but then I say that stuff and then there we go. So what we need to do is we need to change this position. If we loop, we're going to want to move the selector just trying to see if we can do the current frame. That's fine. This is where we loop everything around. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a flag here. And we're going to set this flag to force the position if it's, let's see, change CV. We want to set a variable. We'll set flag, we'll just set a flag here. Actually, we don't need to do that. We can just do this as a regular variable. Delete event. Let's insert after event. We're going to do variable. Set to true. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this variable A to true. And variable A is going to be V set to position. And the reason why we're gonna do this is we want to make it when it loops back over, instead of it like sliding all the way over, we want it just to immediately jump over, but we need to set a flag here for that. So let's do this. We're going to copy this event. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to paste this event after, and then here we're going to create a insert an event after if variable compare with value. We're now going to test set to position, and we want to see if this is a Boolean is true. If it is, we're going to set variable set to value, variable set to value. We're going to set this to false, but we're also going to now insert after event set actor position, and we're going to use the actor selector, and we're just going to immediately force it to selector X and variable selector Y. So let's give this a shot and see. I don't know if I'm passing in anything, any value though, from the parent script, so I might have to change that. There we go. Now it jumps perfectly. It actually looks pretty good. So now when we go to paint mode, we'll add in the ability to move up and down in the tile map, but we're going to use basically the same sort of logic here. I don't know if I can abstract this out though. We might be able to. It would be interesting if we can use this. Wait, select, let's delete this event. If it's held down and if it's held up. Here we would have to set some sort of flag to decide whether we need to go to the next scene, but I'm just trying to see if there's anything we can use to actually make this more generic. I may just rewrite this code over again for each one of them. Like it just becomes this like very low ROI the more we try to abstract things. It just becomes too hard to manage. Let me see what's being passed into this real quick. If you set the tile position, this variable really is, yeah, V set to position. We'll just call this L set to position. And what we could do, I just want to make sure I didn't break anything. No, I don't know why I'm playing the game. Change the code mode, fine. All right, so let's do this. I am thinking about how to make this more generic and how we can remove all of these conditional logics here. So let's just take this. What we can do is we could get this to a place where just trying to think through all these weird edge cases here. I mean, so they all are going to loop the same way. And that's really what I'm trying to figure out is if we do this script tile picker and what we could do is we could make this where this, like it, what we could do is we can have it where it sets flags outside of itself, and then we interpret those flags inside of the main game loop. So the idea being we want to reuse the logic to move the selector all over the place, but we need to encapsulate it in a way that we can understand. You know what? I know what we can do. Why don't we do this? I'm going to take all this stuff. We don't need this move right. We don't need this move left. What we need to do is we need to take all this stuff that validates the... because we move left, we move right, we do change C mode. If we move left, V current brush ID. Yeah, see, this is the problem I have is that each one of these modes is going to be very different. So I'm just going to do this here, and we're just going to manually deal with this. So this script change mode, the new mode we're setting it to is when we go up, we're setting it back to... It should go back to tile mode. For some weird reason, it's not, and I'll have to figure that out later. What we actually want to do, though, is we want to start looking at these other things. And, God, I wish there was a way that I could copy an entire script and then just copy script. So wait, let's go here. Let's copy the script. And when we go to, let's do it on the code picker. Actually, no, the paint picker is probably going to be the quicker one that we need to get through. Now, let's replace this script with this logic. And what we need to do is we're going to set up variable A and variable B. When we come here and we pick, let's see what's going on here. We're going into our paint mode. So for our paint mode, we're going to set this position, and then here for variable B, we're going to give it a number, and the number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 20. I don't know why I'm doing this. I've done this math for 3 days now. This is 20, and we're going to pass it in the selector. So the first is set to position max tile IDs. Set to position max tile IDs. v set to position, v max, whoops, tile IDs. The other thing I want to do is create an offset. Well, whatever, we'll just do it here. Because then we have script code picker. Wait, we're back on the painter, right? All right, so we've named these correctly. So now what we need to do is, if we hold this right, it's just going to keep looping. We want to change our offset down here, and we're going to make our offset 2. And we just need to change this. Let's take a look at how this works. There's a lot of offsets that need to happen just because of the way that I'm framing this this screen. So I just want to make sure that. Oh, that was weird. Why it just like went to that position like that. All right, so it went over by 1. All right, so I don't think we can reuse that script, so it's a good thing we're doing this way. What we're going to do is, first off, we need to if held right, the current brush ID. So what we need to set this to is going to be the I thought I had a max Vmax tile IDs current brush ID. We have a selector X and a selector Y. All right, we're going to do this here where we're going to change this to be selector X. And here we're going to increase selector X by 1. If we're going to the left, we're going to decrease selector X by 1. And then now here what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the selector X is greater than the maximum tile IDs. I want to change the maximum tile IDs to 19. Whoops, that's 10. 19. And then back here, what we're going to do is vSelector X is greater than the maximum tile IDs. We're going to set it to jump to its position, and then we're going to reset the selector X position to, what do we want to set it to? We want to set it to 0. And then we will set the flag that we needed to jump over. Then over here, what we want to do is we're going to take the same thing, our selector X, and if it actually, if it equals 0, first we need to subtract it. This is where it gets a little weird, because what we need to do here is we need to let's do it this way. If selector equals 0 and we're about to wait, where is it when it's, where is it being decreased again? it's being, if we go to the left, we are decreasing the V selector X. So what we need to do first is insert an event before if variable. And what we want to do is we want to get the, this is variable selector X position. So if we hit to the left, if it actually equals 0, what we want to do is set this now, set variable. We are going to set the selector X value to variable max tile IDs. And if not, we'll just, wait, let's just put it here for a second. If not, we're just going to decrease it as normal. Because right here, the issue is that we can't go to 0. So before we even do anything here, we're going to want to subtract it. And this logic here is sort of moot now because, right, this, we did the variable, if this is less than this, we're setting this value to 0, and then we're setting this flag. So we're going to copy this event, and here, wherever we loop it around, we're going to paste this event after, just to let us know that the flag has been set, that we need to jump instead of move to. And then if we are less than 0, I don't think we need this at all anymore. Whoops, what did I do? Let's disable this event. And now actor A, we don't need to change this either. Disable event. We want the actor to stay in the same frame as the tile picker so we can see what we're doing. And then we have V selector X. If V selector X value, I don't think we need this either. Disable. If this position, we're going to vset false. We're going to set the actor A to this, and actor A is going to be a parameter actor selector. All right, let's see if this works. So let's pick this guy. We're going to change to paint mode. And now, all right, so he's jumping a little far and he's 1 off. So what we need to do here is we need to go into our max tiles. We're going to set this to 20. And what we should do is create a min tile for the paint picker. Selector X equals, yeah, here's the problem. We need this to be a variable, and we're going to set this to variable C, which is going to be V min tile ID. Let's just make this maximum tile ID. And when we pass this in here, this is going to be a number, and it's going to be 2. Because we're 2 tiles over from the border of the screen, and the border of the screen is what allows me to loop the enemy. It is weird because like the one thing that you get for free on the Game Boy is that if you just increment a player's X position or Y position, they should loop around the screen. This disables that, and I now have to emulate adding that back in, which I find funny. I wonder if there's a way I could do it through their scripting language to bypass that, but this works fine on its own. All right, so let's select this, and now we'll move here. that should go there. And I think we just have a little bit of an issue with where the end of this is and where the beginning of it is. Wait, did that let me do negative numbers? It's funny, it tries to go to -1 and then it catches itself. So if the selector X is at 2, it should jump over here, but the position should really be 21. So let's move this over and make this 21. No, I'm not in the right screen. So now we'll move over to the right. And then that's supposed to bring me here. Going to the left, so I'm just off by 2. So let's set this to 4. But we're not far away now from an actual basic tile map editor. There's a lot of logic. The devil is definitely in the details, but let's change the paint mode and we'll go to the left. Yeah, the problem is, I think this is correct. I just think that my loop logic is messed up somewhere. So let's go back to the paint picker. And when we go to, if this equals the minimum tile ID, here, if it's the minimum tile ID, we loop this over and we set it to the max and we set the position to true. Right? Like this is what's, let's set the breakpoint here. Do 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 do. So we come here and what it's going to do now is it's going to set it to the maximum tile ID. So if we're looking at selector X right now and we hit play, it's going to set it to 21 and we're good to go. Now on the inverse, if we go this way, this will be triggered again and we'll come here. So what we need to do, I think it's what happened. I think what's happening is when I send it to the right, it's going to 0. It must be, we're incrementing this by 1. Yeah, we should do the same thing that we do here. But let's copy this before we change the selector X. Paste the event before. Wait, no. I want to paste the event before. What we're going to do is if this equals, let's just do the max tile ID. We're going to do v selector X. We're going to set this to the minimum tile ID. And we'll set our flag, and then in the else, we will just increase this. We're going to delete this event, and then we'll leave the same thing for left. And then down here, we are going to delete this event. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. Delete this. And now it should loop correctly. Let's disable that. All right, so change this to here. And now when we get to this, it should loop over. And it should loop over. Look at that. Perfect. So, one thing that I wanted to try out was if we hold down select while we do this, that it increases it by more. So what I want to do is I want to actually, instead of incrementing or yeah, we're gonna actually need to do this as equals comparison of greater than or equal to, and this is going to have to be comparison of less than or equal to, and I'll show you why in a second. So what I want to do up here is, first off, let's set a new variable, insert an event before, and we're going to set variable we're going to set a variable. We're going to call this variable D, and we're going to call this v select down, and we're going to set this variable to, whoops, we're going to set this to a boolean of false. So on every loop we're going to set this to false, right? Then we're going to insert an event before, and we're going to look for the button down. And if the button is down, and we're going to do select, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to change the variable, whoops, variable set to value. And we're going to set the select down, and we'll set this boolean to true. And we're also going to do one other thing here. We're going to, well, actually, you know, we can do this a couple different ways. So what I want to do is, I'm just trying to think if there's a better way that we can instead of just increasing this by 1, I'm wondering if this should actually go ahead of here. And then what we do is we always increase it by this factor. And then if it sees that it's over, it'll just reset the value. I think this, because this will allow us now to do the next thing that I want to do, which is my multiplier. But it's going to start getting really weird, unless we just have the multiplier not really work in multiples, and I'll explain in a second what I'm trying to do. So like, let's go here. All right, I've changed the paint mode, great. So let's make sure that we can still loop. The looping is a little off. It works fine there. Yeah, you know what it is? It's because the, it's because I set it to equal to comparison greater than comparison less than. Let's see if this fixes the looping stuff. So the easiest way to do it is if we're holding down select and we're using it as a modifier to increase the number. what we can do is we can just say that when you loop back to the front, it just always goes to the first tile. All right, perfect. All right, so now what we're going to do is this. Now, here, we're going to insert an event before. And we'll do if variable. Oh, you know what we could do? We could just do it right here. If button held, and if not, we'll just put it here. And actually, this saves us from all this stuff up here, because we don't need to now keep track of. We can delete this event, and we can delete this event. So if we hold down right and we test to see if we are also holding down select, what we're going to do is we're going to change the variable set to value. We are going to change the V selector. I want V selector X. We're going to do some maths. Add. And we're going to take the variable of V selector X and increase it by 5. If not, we'll just increase it by 1. And let's copy this event. And now, before we go right, we do this. Now, before we go left, let's insert this event before. Whoops, stop. Let's paste this event before. And wait, what did I do? Wait, I think I just did I need to do it here. Hold on. Let's copy this event. And then inside of this, wait, is this to the left? Right, okay. We are going to copy, this is why I get so lost in this stuff. Let's copy this event. And then when we go left, let's paste this event before. And we're going to do the same thing here, except we're just going to do subtraction. And we're just going to move the decrement to here. So now, I think my keyboard should support, I think my keyboard supports multiple keys down at the same time. I guess it has to, because I've already been testing that part. So let's see here. We're going to go here. We're going to go into edit mode. Let's go to paint mode. All right, I'm in paint mode. Thanks. So you can see it moves a lot faster, but that's not, it's not actually, I think what's winding up happening here, this gets a little bit messy, but it's mostly because it's being moved to. I think if we did it here, and what we did is we set the variable, and we did set position, and we made this a Boolean and set it to true. This is what if we're going left. I'll show you, it'll just jump this way instead of it animating, because the problem is that it's still animating. So we can go left, we can go right. Now, if we go to the left and we hold down, it'll go here. What I actually want to get it to do is if we subtract 5 let's add one more condition here. If vSelector X is comparison less than variable minimum tiles, we're just going to set the variable to the minimum tiles. What I want to do is that even if you're holding down select, it will at least let you it won't wrap anymore. It'll just get you to the end of the thing. The only way you wrap is if you're going one by one. So like here we can jump in increments. And we'll do the same thing for here. I'm just going to copy this event, which was where we tested set selector -1. We tested here the value, and we also set, didn't we do this here? Oh yeah, right. Here we set the selector X. What about what did I just do the jump stuff? All right, if we do select here, let's, sorry, I'm losing I always lose my track here. So we do the variable, we subtract, if it's in select, we subtract, then copy. Just trying to see what the hell's going on here. Right, it's all these things is the let me just copy this whole event for where we hold down select, and I'm going to delete this, and I'm just going to paste this before, but then drag all of this into here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to maths add by 5 if comparison is greater than if selector, I just had to invert this whole thing. If this is less than the minimum tile, do this. Now, if selector X is comparison greater than the max tile, set selector X to the min tile ID, and then set the position true. And is this really working? I can't keep track of this visual coding stuff. Like these, it just all like this blends into the same thing to me. No. All right, so let's go back here. So if we're going to the right, we're going to increase by 5. Now, if the vSelector X is greater than the max tile, we are going to here's the problem. This needs to be here, outside of this condition. And now if this is greater than the max tile, we're going to set this to the max tile ID. All right, I think that should fix it. All right, so let's hold down shift. And now we can jump by 5 this way. Oops, okay, I need to do the, let's play the map. We'll jump here. It's weird. There's got to be a way there's got to be a way that I can reset the, like, I feel like the player is getting direction right now. Like if I hit right. Or not. Huh. That was weird. Go to tile mode. All right, that needs to be fixed. All right, we have all of our tiles. Our tiles are looping. So now when we go down, we go to change the paint mode. And now we can loop through all of these. Oh no, I screwed this up, huh? We need to fix that loop. I must have deleted it somewhere. Because that loop's here, and we just need to loop it there. So now, I think we have, this is it? Else variable, decrease this by 1, and then we do this test again. I gotta like look through. Let me just copy this entire event and let me just paste it before, and we'll switch it to the right, and then I'm just going to invert all these things. So V selector X is going to be math add 5. We're going to tell it that it now needs to jump to that position. Now, if selector X is greater than the maximum tiles, and we're still in select here, we are going to jump to the maximum tiles. Now else, we're going to set this flag, because we're now in here, we're going to set it to jump to this position because we are now doing the modified move. Then we're going to decrease by 1, which we need to change into insert event before, increase. Or increment by 1, and we're going to set this to V selector X. We're going to delete this event, and then here, if we are comparison greater than maximum tiles, we are then going to set the selector to the minimum tile, and we will also set the flag to jump. So now I can get rid of this up here. And those two should be identical now, or just inverted at least. All right, let's see here. All right, moment of truth. We loop over, we loop over. And now if we hold down select, that'll get us to the end, and select will get us to the end. One of the things I'm thinking about is that I'm going to use the select key, if you're holding on the select key, as a modifier to give us a lot more keys. So now the next thing we need to do is now handle the looping for the top and the bottom of this. Now, the problem here is that if we go up, it's going to go into the tile mode. So there won't be any looping. There won't be any looping up, but there will be looping down. So if we go down, it should loop back up to the top. So it'll be a little weird. Let me save my work right now. All right, I'm going to disable this and disable this right now. And this set position. Let's rename this. If actor needs to jump to new position. All right, and then we will rename this reset set to position flag. And then here we're going to rename this set actor at new position without animation. So let's copy this, and we'll start with going to the right because that's going to be increasing. So we'll copy this, and we're going to paste it after this event. And here we're going to look for down. If we're doing this, we're going to now change the V selector Y. And let's make this V selector Y +5. We're actually going to do it in twos because going from the top to the bottom, there aren't as many tiles, so we'll just skip it by 2. Now we need to set the V underscore selector Y equal to the, now we got to change this up here because this V max tile ID, max X tile ID, and this is minimum X ID. Because we now need to create a new variable for Y. And I'm going to call this maximum Y tile ID. And then we're going to set the V selector Y position equal to the V selector minimum Y. So we don't have a minimum Y just yet. Actually, technically this is going to go to the max Y because we're in the shift mode here. So now here, V set to position, we flag that it's true. Now we need to do V underscore select Y. And then in this case, we're just going to increment it by 1. And now we need to do our check. V selector Y. If it's greater than the maximum Y tile ID, we are going to set the V underscore selector Y position to a new variable that we're going to call the V minimum Y tile ID. And then we do the set position flag and all this should work. Now the only thing we need to do is just pass in now those positions. So it would appear that 20 and 10 are the ranges. So let's set this number to 20 and this number to 10. And now we're going to see if we can actually loop this. Well, we'll see if it'll loop it from the bottom to the top. Going from the top and looping is going to be a little bit different. All right. So we have this working. We'll change the paint mode. And now let's move down. All right, so we're a little off here. I have a feeling that the issue actually is that it's I bet you it's in this space because it's actually using screen space and not stage space. So if that's the case, this is 20, 19, 18, 17. And this is 10, 9, 8, 7. And let's start that. All right, let's, oh, why is that? Maybe I'm like really off. Let's do 25 and 15. Now I'm just shooting in the dark. I wonder why, I wonder what the offset is here, why that's happening. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Let's subtract, let's do this as 22 and 12. Although it might grow apart. I don't know, my brain's not working for this right now. All right, so we just need to increase this by 1. Perfect. This becomes 13. And now this should work. All right, so we're going to loop around. And now let's hold down Shift or Select. And that gets me to the end, and then that loops. All right, so now we need to do the opposite, but it's going to get a little weird because when we get to the top, we're going to go back into the tile picker. So let me save this code real quick. Our game loop. Let's go back now to our paint picker. And we're going to copy this event and we're going to paste this event above it. And now we're going to look for up. So if we're hitting select, what we're going to do is V selector Y. We are going to subtract 2. If the V selector Y is comparison less than the minimum tile ID, we're going to set the Y position to the minimum tile YID, And then here, if we are going to set the flag that this needs to jump to that position. Next, we're going to decrease this by 1. So let's do insert event before, decrement. And that really bothers me, that word. I gotta look that up. I feel like I did this the other day, but I can't remember. This is just such a weird. Decreasing by gradually less decrement. Okay. I mean, I would just say decrease and increase, but sure. So we're going to decrement by 1 to the V selector Y position. Let's delete this. And now this is where it's going to get interesting. Because what we're going to do is that if this Y is comparison less than the minimum tile ID, instead of actually doing this, we're going to disable this and disable this. What we're going to do is insert the event above, and we're going to call the script, and we're going to do script. We're going to go to the tile picker, right? And we're going to set the V tile position to V selector X. Oh, V set to position. We can just use the same flag here. It's not a big deal. And then Vmax tile IDs. Player actor is going to be this guy. And the maximum tile IDs. I think what happened before is that I don't have a variable for this right now. But let's just make a new global variable. We're going to call this max because these are all max tile IDs. This is the tile picker. I want to do the paint picker going up. We were going to call reset position flag, select actor position. Decrease by 1. If this is less than the minimum tile variable, selector equal. I'm so confused. Didn't I just... increase? Fine. Here we're going to... So now we're looking for down. If we're doing the select, we're going to do this by 2. This, fine. Y equals the minimum tiles. And then we're going to set the position to true. V selector Y is we're just going to decrease this by 1. Then we need to see if V selector Y is less than the minimum tiles. We are going to add an event before. I don't know, for some reason it didn't change my, it didn't change what I did here. Set, or we're gonna call script, And the script is going to be called tile picker. And we're going to pass in the placeholder variable for that. And v max tile IDs is going to be max tile IDs. And we're going to pass it in the selector. We're going to disable this, and we're going to disable this. And let's save this. And now let's run it and see what happens. All right, so we'll stop this. We'll go down. We're gonna hold down Shift. Whoops. Oh, shoot. You know what? I did it to the wrong one. Let's get rid of this. This should have been up. Yeah, here. I got lost. Set the position, and it's going to be current brush max tile. P actor selector. Let's see if I can unbreak what I just did. All right. And we'll hold down Shift and just make sure I didn't break this. And that locks it if we're holding down Shift. Now, if we hit up, it's going to... I do not understand why it goes to the change code. It's driving me nuts. I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. But all right, we're now... delete this event. Delete this event. Delete this event. And delete this event. All right, so that's all good. Let me just double check that I can now do shifting and moving up in the painting area. So if we hold down Shift and go up and Shift down, we'll do that, and then Shift here, we'll jump in 5s, or we can just do it individually. We'll change to, I don't understand why it's saying code mode. There should, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna delete code mode altogether. Like, this shouldn't even happen. Because here, what we do is we script to change mode. Why is this happening? So let's see here. If v select mode value equals new mode, if paint mode, v selector mode equals paint mode, delete event, v selector y is going to go to 13. If this mode is C mode, we're going to go to 10. And if this is code mode, we're going to go to 8. But V selector mode, if there's a new mode, we go here and we new mode. Right, so here we change the mode. So this is what I want to see. I'm going to set a breakpoint here, and we're going to look for this V selector mode and what it got changed to when we go from the paint mode into the next mode up. All right, so now we're here. We want to excuse me, reselect mode right here. So somehow V-select mode went to 2. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know if I care about being bald. It never really seemed to bother me. I always had my hair short anyways, but I definitely noticed I lost it when I was married and had kids. So we light up the room. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. I didn't think anyone was really watching. I'm sort of getting just used to talking to myself. Let's go back here to the tile paint, the paint mode. And I wonder if this is just increasing by 2. All right, so let's get rid of the select as held. Script tile picker. Set to position, maximum IDs, actor select. Isn't this supposed to be change mode? And the change mode is supposed to be one of these constants. Where's C? Oh, I need to switch to a constant. We want to go to tile mode. Right? That's what this should be here. Bald for almost 30 years. How long have I been bald for? I don't know, maybe 20 something years? No, 15 maybe? 15 feels right. It's just a pain in the ass to shave. All right, so we'll go here. We're changing to code mode, which is not what I wanted. We're going here. I don't like this song. And we go up, and what is causing this? Let's do this. I'm going to disable this. And I got to figure out, there's something that's getting crossed here with the weird way that GB Studio handles variables. It's like so easy to get them like corrupted. All right, we'll go to paint mode and we go up, and now there's no lock on it. So here, like, I'm not crazy. I am literally calling this script. Let's enable the event. It's changed to tile mode. Let's see what happens if I change it to code mode. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I just have them flipped around or something. Excuse me. So if you're just tuning in, I am working on, I'm hoping it's the first ever, tile map editor for a Game Boy game. Man, it really just doesn't want to do this. 1. I would be interested though, if anybody knows, has anybody seen a Game Boy game that actually has a level editor in it? So I haven't been able to find one. Change the code mode. So I am completely baffled as to what the hell's going on here. if I disable this event, let's go here, and I go into the paint mode, and I hit up, it doesn't do anything. It just goes on indefinitely, which is fine. And then we can loop here. So logic would dictate that what we need to do, I'm going to delete this and start over again. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at this piece by piece, because something is really screwed up here, and it's just a weird code smell that I need to figure out. My watch is telling me I need to stand up. All right, I'm going to be right back real quick. I'm just going to change my desk to standing, and then we'll continue on with this madness. All right, so we're going to call script, and we're doing script change mode and we're passing in, oh my god, all the music is like all screwed up now. Is that, hold on, I want to see that's just on me. Oh, it's weird. It was like some weird feedback on my end from the microphone being muted. Yeah, whatever. All right, so now we're going to go to tile mode. And let's do the script change mode. And what I want to do here is, so I want to see what happens breakpoint. Wait, this isn't right. If code mode is true, that's the problem right there. Paste an event before. Wait, what is, oh no, I don't want to paste the event. Whoops. Hold on, let's disable this all, because this is the problem. Disable. No. Just disable the event. Although it's good to know we can disable the else. Now that I realize that, we'll go back and we'll clean up some of these things. Okay, so we're going to insert this event before. We are going to test a variable compares with a variable. And we want to see if new mode equals constant tile mode. Well, we're going to start it as paint mode. What are we doing in this? Re-enable the event. We did this where we set the selector Y to 13, and we can delete this now. And now we're going to copy this event. We're going to disable the else. We're going to paste this event after. And now we're going to look at the tile mode, which is next. And if this is the case, let's, oops, stop. Let's enable this event, and we're going to set it to 10. And now we can delete this. And then we will copy this event. I knew I wasn't going crazy. I don't know how it became a testing if it was true or false. Oh, what am I doing career-wise? You're looking at it. I'm unemployed at the moment. Well, will be soon enough. But That's what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm just taking some time off, and I started a consultancy back up again, and I have some clients that I've lined up that I'm planning to do some interesting work for. I just have to get this game out of my head. I'm just going through right now. I have for the next couple of weeks while I'm waiting for some of these client jobs to come through. I'm going through different hackathons that have for like money prizes. So this Game Boy one, I think it had like a couple $100. I don't think it's anything. I'm not going to get rich off. I don't really care. I just want to actually build a Game Boy game. But I'm also doing another hackathon I'm going to do another hackathon for Bolt, which is one of those AI vibe coding tools. And that one, I think you can win $10,000. And then the other one is an Adobe contest to write a plugin for one of their web apps. And that was like, if you win that, that's $5,000. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to try to see if I can do hackathons to survive. Let's see here. So now we're going to set this. Yeah, I don't know if it's nice, but it's something. It is weird. I've never been unemployed before. It's a very, very weird market. I've never seen anything like this. And I've been through 2 .com crashes, but it just means that I just need to figure something else out, and I'm fine with that. And who knows, maybe I will become a famous YouTuber. I just need to start actually putting content on YouTube, but that's part of another plan. All right, let's see if this now works. This should fix the problem that we were having before. Or maybe lots of people will buy my Game Boy game. Change the code mode. Damn it. I swear it's doing it again. Change the tile mode. You completed PhD, retired, and now teach full-time. I don't think I can afford to live in Manhattan as a teacher. At least not yet. All right, what is going on here? Paint picker. I'm setting this to tile mode. We're calling this script to change. I'm going to do this. I want to get rid of code mode altogether. Let's just disable this. And let's just see if we can get this stupid paint mode to switch back to tile mode. Yeah, I actually have a master's that I gotten, and I was thinking of... I had always wanted to do teaching. I went to the School of Visual Arts for my master's and got a master's in computer art, and then I would love to teach at NYU Game Center. I know a couple of people over there. It's been a long time since I've done anything. Look at this. It's jumping to code mode, and I disabled that. What? Now, what's making it say that it's jumping to... Now let's go back into here and see if I screwed something up here. Because I don't remember where the master stuff is. Yeah, I had done an interview for some, what is it, Podium or something. They were looking for teachers to teach like basic web development. I don't think I was a fit because I'm not hyper enough. They like literally wanted someone who's like, oh, you know, bring your 3 Red Bull energy. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I'm a New Yorker. This is about as like, unless I'm angry, this is about as like excited as I get. Save this current position, loop through the logic mode, if in paint mode, if in tile mode, few tiles, and if in code mode, we'll get to you later. There's a place where I am Where was I changing the message? Like, what's actually... Can I search for... Oh, that would be too convenient. Script code picker. Script paint picker. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. I want to see if we are going to go and we're going to call the script to load the new. Let me see, where's up? That's down. This is up. If we're above this, we are going to call this and go to C mode, C tile mode. Man, this is such a weird bug. There's something that's happening with, like, I think the condition is defaulting to true or false. Because that shouldn't. First off, I'm not even telling it to show that message. I can't even find the message thing here. If I script change mode, there's, look, I don't even have, I deleted the other mode. So let's go through every single one of these and figure out what is actually causing that mode, because that should not happen anymore. So this is our paint mode. If we're going up, change script mode to C tile mode, fine, but you don't work. Script tile picker. If we come here, all right, let's do some cleanup here. If right is held, let's disable the else. No, wait, I didn't mean to do that. I want to disable else because there's no else. So if we go right, we just increment the brush by 1. Great. If we go left, let's disable the else and we increment the brush by 1. If we press up, here's where the messages are happening. So this going up from the tile picker should go to the code mode. Fine. Let's get rid of the else. If we're going down, we need to go to paint mode and we're changing the paint mode. Let's get rid of the else. I also want to set a breakpoint here. So that gets us back to the paint mode. If the ID is greater than the tiles. So now let's disable the else here. This is our looping logic. Disable the else. If the actor selector animation, that sets the animation. Whoops. This sets the rename. Set the actor to the right brush frame. And then here we are P actor selector, set the animation frame, variable X to the current brush, rename this, move brush to remove selector to correct tile. ID. Then here we are going to disable this else. And if this equals true, we are just going to jump to that position. Was there anything in this else that I needed to worry about? No. Okay, we can delete this too. Disable this else. Where do you teach? And what'd you get a PhD in? Maybe I need to go back to school. I was actually looking at some, I think they call them micro degrees or something. I was looking at some stuff at MIT and at Harvard, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to commit the money to that. All right, so we're in paint mode. We go up. And now I'm looking at this V selector mode is set to 1, which is correct. Even though it says it's code mode, that is negative Ghost Rider. And then, wait, why can't I move now? All right, change to... Right, there's no code mode anymore, so I got rid of that. Now, I'm curious why it's saying... it chose Liberty University for PhD. Almost done with the second PhD. The first is in organizational leadership in higher education. I don't know if I have it in me to get a PhD. That's like it's a lot more work than I wouldn't say I'm particularly great at school. I did fine in like my master's, but change the code mode. So this is the thing that's weird. Here it's saying to go to code mode, but I don't think that's really script tile picker. That needs to go to code mode, but I don't know why this is getting called. The only thing I can think of is that there's oh, it's just a bunch of writing. Well, I could do that. I actually was going to go for computer. If I was going to do a PhD, it would probably be in like computer science or something. So, something is weird here. What I think is happening is that I think it's trying to set the mode twice. Like if I remove this breakpoint and rerun it, I think what's happening is that it just like it literally jumps into the next script, and because it jumps in the next script, it is just going to go to the next mode. See, it thinks it's in code mode right now. Something is broken here. Let's do the script change mode. Let's disable all of this now. I'm going to just rebuild this because it's just not working. And another in AI and machine learning. That's a lot of degrees. I was like barely lucky enough to graduate high school. But I was an artist, so my brain just didn't like school at all. All right, so it's trying to change this mode, and the mode won't work, but we're able to loop around correctly. So now what we want to do is, now let's do this. We're going to do a message. And I wanted to see what V selector. Let's do this because it's going to need something to pull in this variable. And I want to do V new mode. I don't know what happens when you get like one after the other, but let's see if this actually just calls something. All right, so it's being passed in 1. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, wait, let me get out of this real quick. And now 0 is being called, which will change it to paint mode. And then 1 is being called. And then 0, back to 1, and to 2. Change the tile mode. We go to 0, and it changes to paint mode. And now if we change it to 1, stop that. That's the weird thing. So we changed it to 1, and it no longer gave me a message that it was going from the paint mode to the... So let's go look at the paint picker. No, actually, it's in... Was it? It's not in change mode. Was it here? Where is this code? We go back into the tile picker, script tile picker, change mode. This should be tile mode. No, wait. This should be the tile. Okay, sorry. The tile picker goes up to the code. Going down goes to paint. And that's fine. Let me get rid of these things so we don't need these anymore. We're just going to debug this. Where was the stupid message? Let's disable this event. And let's disable this event too. Yep, I'll be around. I think I'm gonna be streaming for the next 2 hours, I guess. Maybe until like dinner time. And then I think I just need to clean up my office. It's a mess underneath my desk. I would really like to know what is going on here though. All right, so we're setting this to mode 1, which is our tile mode. If we go down to 2, this is 0. And if we go back up, we should go to 1. And if we go from there, we should go to 2. So we go back to 1. Whoops. We go here. We go to 2. All right, so now let's try this again. So now we are changing our mode. And what I want to do is V selector mode. We're going to change the V selector mode to the new mode. And then insert event before. Here we're going to see if variable selector mode equals 0. We're going to set actor position. Trying to see what we did here. Let's enable this. This is paint mode, which should be 0. We were setting the actors Y. No, wait, we were just changing. Oh, this is even easier. Delete this. We are just doing this. Now let's disable this again. So now this should move the, if we're at selector mode 0, let's do this. This is like one of these weird little bugs where something is being compared as a Boolean, I think, and not as a... All right, we're going to 1, which is our tile map. We go to 0, it jumps down to here. Great. We go here, and this should jump up to 1. So now, let's copy this event. We're going to paste this event after. I'm going to disable this else. I'll disable this else. And we're going to set this to 1. And we're going to set it to 8, I believe. This was tile mode. Enable event. Sorry, 10. And we're going to disable this. All right, so that went to tile mode. We have this set to 0. That goes there. We go here, and we're now back at tile mode. So now we need to add back in. Let's copy this event, and let's paste this event after, and we're going to set this to 2. And we're going to leave that there, and I think it's 4, but we'll give it a try and we'll see. I don't remember exactly what the offset was before. All right. Oops. My X key is mapped to my Windows key. 2. We need to move it down 1, 2, 3. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So my only 2 theories here are that, no, I have 3, I guess. My first theory is that it's just getting too many events to go. Like, I don't have a release on the button, so I think it's just registering to skip up to the code mode. But the only thing that's stopping it right now is it's blocking it is this message is popping up and it's interrupting the up key. Now go here and we're going to change the tile mode. Oops, go away. And we're going to go down here, and we're back. All right, so the real question, now that this is working, and I want to... Let me delete this. Delete this. And we're good to go here. What I wanted to see was that the tile picker, I think it had another, or maybe it was the code picker, had a message. Yeah, delete this. We don't need this. Delete this event. So let's see if this works. We're just going to do this piece by piece. This is sort of a frustrating part of having to debug something like this, but we'll find the solution. Because at this point, the next thing is just actually painting tiles. Like, we're almost there for the level editor. Actually, it should go up. It needs to be one more. 7, 8. Because it should go to the bottom of the code. All right, so we'll go here. We'll go up and go down and go down. And then going back up goes there to 1. All right, so now the real question is, if we come here and we get rid of this and we disable this event, will it now still jump from the painting mode up to the code mode and skip the tile mode? All right. Yep. That's the problem. The problem is that there's nothing interrupting it. I actually might want to introduce another mode, but I think I need something to keep them from jumping around like this. I gotta understand, there's got to be a way to figure out, let me save this. There has to be a way to figure out GB Studio trigger event on button release. Put the script in the if part and leave the else. I've only done this for actors, I'm not sure. Inside the if statement, then the else, and end the timer event. Don't use update for this, as it'll kill the game for FPS. Instead, use timer event and start with a fairly tight kick, 0.25 seconds reduced down. Scripting events. Actor doesn't work when attached to a script to a button installation. Button behavior and when to trigger on release. That doesn't help me. Input. All right, so pause the script until input is pressed. Pausing the script until one of the specified joypad remove button. Remove and attach script control flow if joypad input held. run the script every time. Okay, if you wish to run a script every time a button is pressed, use the attach script to button instead. So that's a bit of a different way of doing this. So let's do this. Condition. If edit mode is true, we'll save the current position. We will see if the old mode equals the new mode. V selector mode. And then, so if we're in paint mode, we're going to do this. But what we actually should do is we should actually attach this script. It's saying we should attach this script to, so let's do this. Let's do paint picker. I'm going to copy this script and we're going to do this as a test. Well, we'll do script paint picker button test, and we'll replace this script with all this logic. And what's going to wind up happening is that we're going to have to set a lot of this stuff. Oh, it's annoying. Huh. I'm just trying to think. There's like so much stuff to deal with. I'm just trying to think where the best place to place all this is, because we don't. Huh. My brain's hurting for a second. I want to figure out. Let's disable this else. Let's disable this else. And let's disable this else. So, okay, what I wanted to see was, this is the modes. These are the 3 modes that are created. And here's where we're testing to see if an old mode is, if the old mode is equal to the new mode, we are going to update the selector position to that. Else, we're going to set the position, which makes it jump. Now, what I'm trying to think about is, when we do when we change mode, should we add the events here? Oh man, this gets so weird. Because like, I don't want to attach script to button, right? And on press, we're going to call a script. We're going to do this button test. And we're going to see if write is called. I'm going to override the button. We will override the button action. And in this, we are going to pass in, instead of testing for this position, what we're going to do is a set condition. Let's add a event before this, if condition, or if variable, if variable compared with variable, I want to we'll make this a value. 1 is up, 0, 1 is right. We'll just do it like this. And we're going to make this variable EF. This will be variable direction. And here we're going to take this and move it there. And we're going to take this and move it after. And then we can delete this. And now we're going to do something similar for this. We're going to insert an event before. We're going to, if variable compared with value, we are going to do v direction is 0. Then let's hide this. And this is the up logic. So we'll take these two things and we're going to move them into here, this and this. And then we're going to disable this event. Then we are going to, let's get rid of the else, disable the else. Here we're going to disable the else. So now we have up and right. Before I do any of this other stuff, let me disable this and disable this, and we're just going to see if these things work. Because now what needs to happen is that there's a lot of things that need to be changed. I think if I go to, I'm just going to pull over the variable names from here. So this was max x, min y, max, whoops, v max x tile, right? ID. This will be min. This will be max y. And this will be min y. I need to keep this as direction. I don't have the max minimum y yet. I guess it just isn't referenced here yet. So now in this case, when we change the mode, I guess we don't have a variable for this. This is going to be a number, a number, a number, a number, and again, I can't shoot. Yeah, there's something here where this is why I was going down this other road before, is that I can't pass in the anything but the player. The only way I can pass in something else is if it's attached to this. This is becoming a bit of a cluster. I think for right now, I'm just going to not worry about this. And I'm going to try to get more of the code working, and then I will refactor this later, which I know I'm going to regret, but all right. I just want to make sure I didn't break anything here. All right. Yeah, that's annoying. I wonder if I could do some event just to capture that. Like, I could come up with some sort of like block and just say like, okay, you're only able to move one mode at a time. Excuse me, but there's no way to clear the input. I'm just not doing this the right way. Also, I want this player to be positioned in a row above this. So I need to figure that out, but that's a separate thing. What I would like to do is get this to where we can start painting stuff. And one of the things I was thinking about is if you're holding down select and hitting A and holding on select A and B would shift back and forth between the tiles to paint with, and then hitting A would yeah, I'm trying to think about this. I'm trying to figure out like what's the easiest way to simplify this, because at the end of the day the player needs to be here outside of the tile map area. The only thing you can place down is a platform. You know, I wonder, I have a feeling that I actually don't need this selector. Because really, in essence, all you're actually putting down are platforms. So I wonder if I can make it contextual, where if you create a platform and it and you go above a platform, you can basically choose if you want to. It would show an enemy. I think the only place where it's hard to figure out, the only thing that's going to be hard would be the exit here, because the exit is like a special thing. And let's start painting some stuff. I think that's really where we need to go, because we're not going to see how this works really until we actually start using it. And there are a whole lot of rules that need to go into platform. So I'm just going to focus on the platform for right now. Let me save my work, and I'm going to make a new script here, and we're going to call this script paint tile. And what we're going to do is we're going to call the meta tiles And we're going to, the first thing we do is we're going to get the tile at this position. So I'm going to call this variable v current, oops, tile ID. And this will come in a little bit later. We also need a variable for the selector X and the variable for the selector Y. And what I'm thinking is that when we are in paint mode, let's get rid of this, let's get rid of this. This handles all of our movement. Let's insert a before. I want a group. And all of this goes in here. And this group is going to be called movement. And then we're going to make a new group. And we're going to rename this event paint. And we're going to call the script. Actually, we're going to do this. It's funny. This is, I think this is where I messed up last time. I think we technically need to change it here. What I wanted to see was that old mode, selector mode. We do the updates here. If old mode, else I want to attach the painter, but what we could do is we could attach a script that just handles painting, and then we can have the painting script manage state. Let's try that. When we test edit mode, if edit mode is false, we go back to playing the game. And here we are setting this up. If temp 0 equals 1, toggle edit script. Variable. Okay, I see. I gotta like name all these things. Just where do I name this variable? Oh, because I'm using a temp, I don't think I can name it. All right, so basically this temp gets this. We're going to select the mode and display. Here we are, let's disable this else. And then we're going to take a look at this. We're going to call the script, if temp 0 equals 1, which is the first choice, we're going to call the script toggle edit. And we're going to pass in the selector. Now the script toggle edit is going to handle switching the modes and all this other stuff. And what we should do here is that the mode is in edit. Let's go ahead and we're going to insert event before. We'll insert the event after. We're going to attach a script to a button. And we're going to do A. And we're going to call script paint tile. And the v current tile ID will just be, I guess this is a global. V current brush ID. No. We have two separate things we need to do here. This variable 8, is going to have to be rewritten to, we're going to call this v current tile ID under brush. This is a stupid name, but at least this is, actually we'll just do current tile map ID. And at least now we just know this is going to be the tile map. Because then when we come in here and we change to edit, we are going to pass in the tile map ID, and that is going to change this. The other thing I need to do is, if we come here, let's do this. I'm going to do the paint picker. We want to do script paint tile. Paint. And this is going to be v oh, it doesn't have access to anything else, which is weird because it should. Why can't I do v selector X and v selector Y? Oh, whatever. We'll have it just paint the correct tile. So now what I want to test is that whenever I hit the A button, it's going to attempt to paint a tile. Why is nothing working? What just happened here? Did I break something? Oh, stop. I gotta like change the buttons. Why does this not do anything? So let's go back here to toggle this mode. If A is pressed, let's see if this is actually set a breakpoint. Let's see if this is actually being called. All right, so this is adding this button. I'm going to set another breakpoint. So now I can move around. All right, it hit the debugger. Script paint tile. Let's see. It should be v tile map ID. That's at 0, and it's a 0. But then once it gets pressed, it doesn't. It like just locks up. Maybe it doesn't like this, or this. No, this has got to be get meta tile at position. I think insert the event before. I think this is the problem. I think what I need to do is I need to look at scene, replace tile at position, restore. This is a problem. I don't think that it has a way to, I think I have to use the VB script for this again. I don't think it has a way of actually all right. GB Studio get tile ID. Get the tile ID plugin. And tile setter background image. This is useful. Tile index. Each tile using tile IDs. You'll use this index, the tile ID, GB Studio scripting or event trigger. Replace a tile with another tile. Trigger an event based on the tile being present in a specific location. In GB Studio Editor, you can often see the tile's index ID visually while selecting and manipulating tile in the tile set of the background editor. In the scripting event, you'll need to know the tile index before referencing in your code or events. That didn't help me at all. Tile. Load tile set. Get tile. All right. Let's delete this. And we're going to add in a new script or GMVB or GBB. What is it called? Script? GBVM script. And we're going to give it a reference to a variable. And we're going to call it tile map ID. We also need a reference to variables selector X, variables selector Y. So get the tile ID. IDX, this is going to be the var v tile map ID, and this is going to be var v selector X, var v var v selector Y. Right? If I copy this, it doesn't go green. All right, let's see if this works. And then we're gonna look for the tile map ID, and that's what we'll do. So in essence, what I need to do is figure out what the tile is underneath the brush, because that's going to dictate a lot of things. And, come on. Submapping EX plugin was created for an older version of GPC that may not work. Link warning, undefined global, var v tile map ID. Do I not set this to 0 or something? Set variable to value. To 0. Let's see if that works. I just don't think I instantiated the variable, which is weird to me because like the compiler should automatically do that even if I don't reference it. But oh, here we go. Warning, undefined global var v tile map ID referenced by module script 7. Script paint tile. Maybe it doesn't like that? Oh, look at this. I'm an idiot. Var. I didn't do the $sign. Now let's see if this compiles. Undefined global. I think I'm about to take a break for a little bit. I might just take like a 10-minute break. Yeah, I need to figure out. I don't remember how to do this in the script stuff. Operations. Get background tile index. Yeah, I got that. What I can't remember is how you reference the variable. Maybe I'm not doing these correctly. But it did give me an error on the other one too, so... Bar underscore, let's see if we can get at least one of these errors to go away. Because it being green now and for like, all right, I'm gonna take I don't know, like a 10-minute break. I'll be back in a little bit and then we'll go through and try to figure out what the hell's going on here.
I noticed the lights were on, and I thought you might be home. I wasn't sure.
All right, I think I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to continue working on this tonight, but I'm going to take a break. I need to step away from this for a little bit, and I'll be streaming tomorrow morning. So I'll share my progress on Blue Sky and all that, and hopefully I can see you tomorrow. And my goal tonight is just to get this to actually start drawing tiles, and then tomorrow we'll deal with all the rules around tile logic. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow.